Hello, and welcome to character creation for Power Rangers Essence20 role playing. Uh, just going to go over the process of creating a character while I create a character for myself, um, and help people who are maybe not having an easy enough time uh, with the whole process. Sometimes it helps to see it actually being done by someone else. So if you have an idea for a character concept, like the type of ranger you want to play, that's always a good place to start. You get a rough idea of who you want to play as. Do you want to be a comedic character? Do you want to be someone who's a little weird and quiet? Do you want to be the athletic, martial arts, powerhouse driven, maybe not so smart, but smart enough to handle things? Do you want to be just a brain? All of these are basic ideas that you can start off with. You should also have an idea of what spectrum color you want to play as. Each one has different benefits. Some are stronger, have access to certain abilities that will come in a more scientific nature, like the Blue Ranger. Sometimes others will help buff the other players. They all have their place. Some, like the Pink Ranger role, has an ability that helps with distance weapons. So they all have abilities that will give you a varied and well-rounded team experience. So if you go into this with a concept in mind, or you work with your other players, or with the rest of the players to come up with a team concept of, okay, well, I'm going to be doing the serious player, then you'll have a more well-rounded experience. Starting off, and you can do these steps in any order you like. This is just how they're presented in the core rulebook. So for ease of understanding, this is how I'm covering it. You can start off with the origin. This is who your character was before they became a Power Ranger. Did they move around a lot because maybe their parents were in the military? Were they a survivor of an attack or devastating illness? Are they athletic? Are they just naturally smart? All sorts of areas are covered by the different origins throughout the source books in this game system that have been released so far. This list that I have on this page that I created only cover up to a jump through time. I have not added Beneath the Helmet yet. That'll be coming in the next week or so. I have the book, just have not sat down to add the information yet. I have decided that I'm going to make a comedic character. So, going to go over and I'll write that here in my little character sheet. And then go over to the core rulebook and look at the comedic information. Each origin comes with your starting health, an increase to a single essence score, and an appropriate skill that you can put that point in. It tells you your ground movement and roughly how many languages. It tells you how to determine how many languages you know. You're always going to be fluent in your native language, but depending on the origin, you may be able to possess or to know several languages or very few. For instance, for the comedic origin, you know your native language, and then for every 3 points of social that you possess, you can learn a different language. And you're also given an origin benefit. The comedic origin benefit is one of my favorites because I usually play with players who love making jokes, and I myself enjoy making jokes. So if I create a character and I'm joining a game, this is usually what I'm going to go with if nobody else does. And it helps get story points. So for the comedic, we start off with 1 health. So let's go put this into the character sheet. And go back, and it says you can increase either smarts or social by +1. I'm going to increase social, and the social based skills that I can put it into are deception, performance, or persuasion. I'm going to put it in performance. So let's go put a 1 over here in the social essence score, and go down to performance and select that D2. So now anytime I do a performance skill check, I'll be rolling a D20 into D2 to determine my score. Always good. Ground movement, I have base of 30 feet. So let's go pop that over there. And languages, 1 plus for every 3 points of social, you get another one. So right now I have English. And origin benefit, keep them laughing. Using comedy to maintain morale amongst friends and keep adversaries guessing as to what's really happening. You wield it like a sword and shield. Anytime you make your teammates, your opponents, or both laugh with your antics, add 1 story point to the pool. That's why I like this one, because if you can make anybody at your table laugh, whether it's virtual or not, odds are you're going to earn yourself a story point. So I don't think there's any specific place. It's just anywhere, so just put it in powers. That's what I did. And certain origins will have the benefit of, like Curious down here has the origin benefit of being able to choose a general perk you meet the prerequisites for. This is the kind of thing that you would look for if you were going to play an advanced spectrum role at level 1. This is where you would find that information. But since we're done copying the information for the comedic, we're going to go over to roles. And I'm doing Black Ranger. So here we go. Now, every spectrum role has role perks, personal power capacity, a specific column here that gives them, it's for their special ability. For the Black Ranger, it's quips and speeches. For the Blue Ranger, it's Eureka points. Everyone's different. And then you also have where you can get your essence increases each level. Level 1, you get 3 increases. And from 2 to 20, it's only 1 per level. So for the Black Ranger at level 1, let's see, we get its Morphin Time, Heart of the Team, which is an upshift of 1, which I'll go into what that is. Personal power capacity is 2 for the day. Quips and speeches, you have 2 for the day. Get a +1 in strength increase, +2 social increase. So down here at the bottom of the page, you'll have all your information. So every day you get 2 personal power back as a recharge when you've rested 8 hours. And your personal power capacity increases +2 every 5 levels. So if you look on the chart here, you've got 2, 2, 2, 2, and then it doubles to 4 at 5th level. Your armor, you get light and medium armor, and these are the starting skill ranks you get. So these essence increases you get at level 1, you have to put them in these skills. Whatever it's listed here, that's where you have to put those points. Every other level afterwards, you can choose where it goes. You don't have to put it in these. If you want to, go for it. If you don't, you want to put it somewhere else that's in that category, then go for it. So we've got personal power capacity of 2. Put that in there. Quips and speeches, I can set up on the back. Alright, strength increase, we get a +1. And social increase is +2, so that brings that 1 to a 3. Now strength, we're getting +1 to might, so that brings this down. We put a D2 in might. Awesome. And then it +2 in performance, which brings my performance that I already added a D2 into to a D6. So I'll put the 2 dots in there just to show that I bought those points. And type in Black Ranger up here. And put a 1 for the level. Okay. Now, armor. You get access to light and medium armor. The idea with this is that you take whichever armor gives you the best benefit. Medium armor would give me the best benefit. So on the back of my page for my armor, I'm just going to make a little note that I'm doing medium armor. I can add the stats for that later. While I'm back here, I can add my grid equipment. This is basic starter equipment. So wrist communicator, power morpher, blade blaster, versatile power weapon. So let's put this here, tab in a little bit. Power morpher, communicator, blade blaster, and versatile power weapon. Okay. Now, go on to the next page. A little description of the abilities. Now, everybody gets its Morphin Time. And as far as I know, every its Morphin Time ability has the same stats. So starting at first level, by summoning the energy within you through your Power Morpher and saying the words, "It's Morphin Time" as a standard action, you are enveloped with a stylized shell of Morphin Grid energy that serves as your armor, grants you access to your power-based weapons, and many other abilities that require power to activate. So you'll get a toughness bonus determined by your armor training. This is why I said go for the one that gives you the most armor. So for me, medium armor, it's a +2. The Red Ranger has heavy armor, which is a +4. Then your jump distance maximums are tripled. So whatever you would normally jump, so if you do a skill check to determine how far you would jump, on a successful roll, you would multiply the result by 3 if you're morphed. So anything within that distance, you could jump to. As a free action, you can summon any single power-based weapon to your hands. So during combat, if you've got your Blade Blaster out and you have a couple of free actions you can use, you can holster the Blade Blaster and then you can summon your power weapon, no issue. And finally, when you're reduced to 0 health, you may choose to avoid defeat by automatically returning to your natural form, unconscious, but at 1 health. This comes more into effect when you're dealing with combat. So also there's the first level ability, Heart of the Team. This is Black Ranger. This is only Black Ranger. So your natural mirth and positivity can be used to boost your teammates and other allies with just a few words. Whether in the heat of battle or at the peak of a difficult obstacle, your clever words can make the difference between a failure and a success. As a free action, you can apply an upshift of 1 to the roll of any ally within 60 feet of you that can understand what you are saying. This costs 1 of your quips and speeches per long rest. As noted on the table above, the value of this die roll increases to the listed amount at 5th, 10th, and 15th levels. This is essentially like Bardic Inspiration in D&D. An upshift of 1, basically, when you're rolling a skill check. If the Black Ranger decides to use one of his quips and speeches to cheer on his teammate, now it says any ally. I wonder if it's any one ally. But either way, it's an upshift of 1 to their roll. So they, instead of rolling, say, a D2, they would roll at a D4. It increases their chances of success. So that is everything for the Black Ranger roll. Except I'm going to put +2 to toughness here. And then up here, where it says toughness, it's 10 plus the essence score, which is what this number is going to be, perks, and an armor. So here I would add a 2 for armor. So we should, no matter what my unmorphed toughness ability is, going to be adding 2 to it for my morphed form. So now, according to my little guide, got the roll. Now we're moving on to the influences. Influences are how you grew up, and it's your personality, how you see the world, things of that nature. You can have, at level 1, you can have up to 3 influences. Now, influences come with a hang-up. Your first influence, unless it says otherwise, is you do not require to have the hang-up. So if you get an influence and it does not require you to have a hang-up, you can use it. You don't have to have the hang-up. But for every influence you add after that first one, it has to come with a hang-up. So either you choose the hang-up from that, or you can choose the hang-up from your first one. So I'm just going to go with one influence right now. And I'm going to go with, on my little list here, what's a good one? Well, let's see. Go over to the rule book, cycle through these. Okay, influences. I don't think he wants to be an artist. Being a caretaker might be nice because he would try and help people cheer up. I think just for fun, I'm going to go with martial artist. So for martial artist, given the opportunity to observe another martial artist for 1 minute, you can learn information about their capabilities compared to your own. The GM tells you if the creature is your equal, superior, or inferior in threat level, as well as toughness and evasion defense. So everyone comes with a perk. This happens to be martial artist. So I'm going to go put martial artist here. And I'll just do a quick little note. Observe creature, determine or compare skills to mine. And for me, I'll know what that means. Now, has the hang up. You can't help but be a show off and attempts to goad you into action with social abilities gain an edge against you. Now, here's the thing. Normally, I wouldn't go with this. But my character, so far, with the comedic origin, I would feel like he would be a show-off. So I'm going to throw the hang-up on there. So we're going to put in here and hang-up. Can't help What is it? Can't help but be a show-off. And attempts to goad you into action with social abilities get an edge against you. Okay. So, that adds a little depth to my character. Now, you can also choose, they'll have specialties for martial arts, and there's a background bond. This is more narrative depth. So for the martial arts specialty, so you're not jumping around with, oh, I know this martial art. Oh, I know this martial art. You can just say, no, this is what I studied. And just this way you have it written down that maybe you studied Kung Fu or Judo or Capoeira. It really is up to you. You could choose one of these. You could make up your own martial art. Like, I actually believe that Hip Hop Keto was on here somewhere. No, it actually isn't. But I think somebody did do it in another game. I'm gonna put just Taekwondo. But that's just narrative for me. I don't really need to write it down anywhere. Now, the martial artist bond is something that you can say, all right, well, it adds more depth to the character. I'm going to just leave this for now. It's not necessary to the character's creation. Like I said, it's narrative. It's more like, okay, maybe your character has downtime. He's focusing on some issues he's having. But, like, this one, number 6 on the martial artist bond, it says, when I'm stressed or need focus, I can be found practicing my martial arts. So maybe he's having a rough day, things are off. So you guys have off time during your game, maybe like an hour or so. He goes off by himself, sits in a nice large room, and just does a kata or something, just to kind of focus his mind again. So after you get your influences, like I said, I'm only doing the one. We move on to distributing your essence skills, your essence scores. Now, aside from the 4 that you've already done at this point, if you're following this guide, there are 12 others at level 1. So you get a total of 16 points to distribute, 4 of which you're told how to. So I have 12 other skill points to distribute that I can use. So they recommend, I believe it is a 4-3-3-2 distribution for the 12. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So I'll start off with that in here. So I'll put 3 and 3 in speed and smarts. Yeah, I'll go with that. So I add 2 more for social, and then get a 5 total for strength. So it's a 5-3-3-5. Yep, that's 16. You can tell if you did it right if your essence scores all add up to 16. So that makes my base toughness score 15, base speed score is 13, willpower is 13, and cleverness is 15. These are your defensive scores when you're not morphed. When you are morphed, that's these scores. So I have a 17 strength, toughness defense, a 13 speed defense, a 13 willpower defense, and a 15 social defense. So earlier on the martial arts hang up, when it said that someone trying to goad me into showing off, it would be against my social score. If they rolled, they get an edge, but they have to beat a 15 in order to get me to show off my abilities. Okay, so now we've got those set up. Let's go with... Alright, we're going to put a point in athletics. And I kind of want to increase my health a little bit. In order to do that, you have to increase your conditioning. So I've got 1 point in athletics. I'm going to put 2 points in conditioning. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Means I have 1 more point that I can put somewhere. Let's put it in might for now. So now make sure that you've got the right amount. Your scores, or your skills that you've purchased using your points have to add up to the essence score in this box. So I have 5 points. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there you go. Now speed. First thing I want to do is make sure I don't roll a disadvantage or snag with initiative, so I'm going to put a point there. I have a blade blaster, and the weapon I'm deciding to do is going to have a ranged effect, so I'm going to put targeting in there as well. So that's 2 points right there. Now, maybe I'll put the 3rd point in targeting as well. I want to actually have a good chance of hitting things. So that's my 3 points right there. So now when I roll initiative, it'll be a D20 and a D2. And before I forget, I'm going to increase my health to 3. Because I will probably forget that. Moving on to smarts. We're going to put a D2 in alertness. Now, my character is not going to be a dummy, but he's also not going to be a brainiac like Billy. So, we're going to put culture. Got to be culturally relevant when making jokes. So that's 2. And going to put another point in alertness. Get it up to a D4. There's my 3 points, and we got the total. That's good. Social. Okay, so we got 3 points in performance right now. I'm going to, because I can, I have 2 more points that I can work with. So do I want to put persuasion and deception? I think I'll do persuasion, a D2 in persuasion, and I'm going to specialize. This is specialization. Instead of increasing the die roll, you put a point there, and then you type what your performance you get. So for me, I'm a martial artist. So whenever I'm performing my martial arts, and actually let's put every time I'm doing my martial arts, specifically Taekwondo, I will roll the specialization. What that means is I roll the D20, I roll the D2, the D4, and the D6. And I take the highest number of those 3 rolls and add that to the D20. So if, say, the D4 and the D6 both roll 1s and the D2 rolls a 2, I add 2 to my D20 roll. This increases the odds of you having a successful skill check. So that's 3, 4, 5 social. Okay, that's looking good. Now, remember, for Origin, every 3 social points, I get another language. I have 5 here, which means I get one language now, and then the next time I add a social point, I'll get another one. So we're going to put... let's do ASL. It's a language I've always wanted to learn. So why not? Okay. So that's point distribution. And it may not look like much, and that you're going to be rolling at snag on a lot of things, but you're at level 1 when you're making this character. It's assumed you're going to be level 1 at making this character. You're not supposed to be the best at everything. So keep that in mind. So the next section is going to be equipment. Oh, perks and grid powers. Well, level 1, you really don't have access to the perks and grid powers unless you have an origin that gives you a general perk. So for the purposes of this, we're going to skip over it. I'll have another video possibly about perks and grid powers later on. So we're going to go to equipment. So we've already covered the morph shell, which is the armor. Your role determines what you have access to. When you take that armor, which I took medium, it increases your toughness by 2. So my toughness score is a 17 when morphed. That's basically how armor works. Some of them have different traits. Like I believe the main morph and shell in the core rulebook has deflective. It explains why it is able to give you that armor bonus. Perks will put its morphin time, and it's heart of the team. Yep. And I'll put over here quips and speeches 2. Alright. Now we're working on weapons. So we already know we have access to a blade blaster. I like to put the blade blaster on 2 sections because it has 2 forms. You can do it however you feel like it. I just think it looks neater. So we're going to look over here at the different equipment. So here we have Blade Blaster. And I'll switch this to 2-page. There we go. So we got the Blade Blaster. It's a might sidearm for the melee and a targeting sidearm for energy. So looking back at the character sheet, that means might, I'd be rolling at a d4 for the melee and a d4 for targeting. So we can put, here is the attack, that's might, that's going to be the melee version, and this is going to be targeting for the ranged version. And reach, range is reach, and 40 feet, 75 feet. So we're going to put reach here, and 40, 75 feet. What that means is the minimum range distance between you and your target that you can hit is anything within 40 feet. Anything between 40 to 75 is going to be at snag, and anything beyond 75 is going to be impossible. Hands, it's a one-handed weapon. Yes, one-handed. So we put one hand. Trait, it's sharp, silent, and energy. So it's sharp, silent. And then this one is energy silent. Basically means that you can sharpen energy of the type of damage it does. Silent is that when you are drawing it, it's not going to make a huge commotion when there are enemies around. So the effect is going to be sharp 1. That's the type of damage. And then energy 1 for the blaster. And that's your blade blaster. Make sure I didn't miss anything else. No. That's your blade blaster. Now, I'm going to go with the power axe. And it is basically going to be Zack's axe from the first season of Mighty Morphin. So it's melee axe and then a power blaster. Or an energy cannon. So it's might and targeting again. So we're going to do power axe. Now, unfortunately, I can't split it like I would have here. I could go back to the first page and write it up here, and maybe I will when I'm done, but for right now, I will put any notes that don't fit down here in the little note box next to the inventory. So the power axe has a reach and range of 50 feet, 100 feet. So we're going to put reach 50, 100. It's a one-handed weapon. Traits are blunt and energy. So blunt, energy. Attack is might. Targeting. And we're going to put blunt 1. And now, it basically says energy attack is one time per encounter, and I can do energy that does 3 damage, but it's a downshift of 1. Which means when I roll, I have to roll at a skill die lower. So we're going to put that as an alternate effect. So it is energy 1 time per encounter. In fact, I'm just going to put C notes here. Per encounter. And energy 3 with a downshift of 1. And that's the power axe. So that translates to, it's mostly a melee weapon, but 1 time per encounter. I think that's 1 time. Yeah, 1 time per encounter. You can do 1 shot of energy that does 3 damage if you can do a downshift of 1 hit. So that's done there. And you can put up here, you can put your attacks so it's easier for you to find. I might do that for the power axe. The other attack that you get is, you see up here, Brawling and Strike. It's basically the same thing, basic depending on how you are attacking. Brawling is just your straight up ham fisting it. So it's punches, kicks, headbutts, knees, elbows, bites. There's no technique to it. That would be might. And if you're striking, you're using finesse. That would be like the martial arts, knife hand chops, kicks, pressure points, anything that requires some level of training in your attack. And they do different things. Personally, I tend to ignore the stun damage with doing this. I make it to where it is blunt, and then if they're specifically trying to stun, that's when they do the downshift. I switch it because for me, in my mind, it takes more technique to knock somebody out rather than just haul off and hit him in the face. But that's me as a GM. Everybody else is going to have their own rules. So we're done with equipment. So we've added the base equipment already. That is the basics of character creation. Here we have a Black Ranger. We're going to name him Ted. And that's my Black Ranger. I hope this video was helpful. I will probably put out a part 2 to cover the advanced spectrum and to throw the Green Ranger on there because his creation is just slightly different. It's the same up until the point where you're doing the weapons. But I will probably do that in another video. This is for any character that is a core Ranger color, the basic spectrum color. This is pretty much how character creation goes. The spectrum roles for from the other books, like purple and orange, they're done a little differently. They have different weapons. But other than that, this is how you create a character. So I hope this was helpful. And I guess look forward to more videos. Thanks for watching.